Hello everyone, Kitty here, and welcome back to my channel. You are watching the Hideout Kingdom custom modpack server Let's Play. Very long title that is super long. Unfortunately, I had recorded this entire episode and didn't realize that my mic was not properly plugged in, and all of the audio that I had originally recorded I couldn't hear it. It was using the internal mic of the computer, and it was just unsalvageable. So, time for a voiceover. So the last time on the Hideout Kingdom episode part 8, and I apologize, my voice is not really going to be syncing up with my actions in game, but we had been talking about building this kitchenette out, and we had to keep enough room to get back to the back door, so we're planning on making the small kitchenette, and we started adding cabinets from rustic. And in the video I'm talking about how all of the doors that I built ended up being double doors, because apparently Aesel has a problem with single doors. He turned all of our doorways into double doors. Whatever. But previously I had said that I had an entire plan, that I wanted to start some mods, and I gave you guys another building episode. I apologize for that. This episode I want to focus on those actual plans of getting the kitchen set up so that we could start the roots mod, using a few rustic things. I know that rustic adds juices, teas, wines, things like that, and that's kind of a little bit of brewing is something that I kind of want to get into. But for right now, the cabinets are a really good asset for the kitchen storage. So I want to put a few more cabinets in to the kitchen, as well as setting up some counter space so that we could put down things like a brewing stand or whatever. And I realized that the cabinets will actually face a certain way depending on how you lay them down. And I didn't know that before, so when I put the one down, I noticed that the handle was facing a different way. I want to make them all uniform, which requires an axe, which I tend not to carry on me at all times because I keep forgetting about it. So I made the cabinets face a uniform direction. I counted how many I was gonna need, and it was basically really about getting the little area set up with enough storage and the counter space, as I said. Now the Roots mod is very similar to the Witchery mod, and it's got herbs and different types of plants and everything. So that's why I wanted to set up a kitchen space for it. And I also had to build a bookshelf, or a bookcase rather, for the books that the Roots mod includes. And for some reason, if you type in books into the JEI, it comes up with the creative only bookcases. It doesn't give you the buildable ones, and that was very confusing at first, until I actually put in bookcase and not books or bookshelf, and finally came up with the right recipe. So that's just a weird little, I don't know if it was a glitch or not. I don't know why it would show the creative ones and not the buildable ones. So as far as I know, there are 4 Roots mod books, and we currently have 2 of them. And you need items from the actual mod in order to make the other books. and I'm not actually sure. I'm just watching my own footage and having to do a voiceover kind of throws me off because I forgot what I was doing. It was a very spur of the moment thing. I don't script any of my stuff. So here I was going over the details of the book. And this was going over the different spells and spell crafting. And while reading, I learned that number one, we didn't have a pestle, even though we had a mortar. And the pestle would only take diorite stone, which I couldn't understand. A lot of recipes that take diorite, granite, things like that will accept any type of stone, but this one specifically had to do diorite. And as you guys just saw, I tried to put down some wooden counters, but because it was oak and it matched the wall, it looked kind of weird. So I decided to go with black quartz. Specifically black quartz slabs. And I know that you have to use black quartz for other things. However, we had a decent amount of it. And here I was just looking over different options. I wanted to do, originally, instead of the black quartz, I wanted to do a basalt countertop. However, you could only make basalt slabs out of the Tech Reborn basalt, and the only one that we had was, I believe it was the chisel basalt, and you can't make slabs out of that. So, you kind of just do what you can with what you have. And the other option that I had was to make them out of the rustic slate, but it was only the slate tiles that you can make the slabs out of, and that looked way too textured, so I decided not to go with that. So currently I am looking for the black quartz so that I could smelt it down into the furnace and get the ore to make the blocks to make the slabs. Also, I apologize for breathing so heavily. I am a very heavy breather. I am like Darth Vader over here. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop that. But, even when I'm doing a voiceover, it's kind of embarrassing. I still go, a lot because I'm not scripting I don't script anything. So, this kind of turned into a bit of a building episode, and I apologize extremely for that. I don't like cutting out a lot, because I like you guys to see the process and my thoughts behind everything, just so that you know what direction I'm taking. But a lot of my direction tends to go into building, and that kind of makes for slow episodes. So I was just looking over what other things you do with black quartz, and there are a lot of, I don't want to say later game, but things that we're not actively doing right now, so I decided that it was okay for me to use the black quartz. And I decided to move the crafting table. I didn't like where it was. So it just took a second there. But I wanted to move that crafting table so that I had a more solid counter space. And a couple of the things I'm planning on putting on the counter is the mortar from the Roots mod, as well as possibly a brewing station, like a vanilla brewing station. I'm not sure if there is a better brewing station than the vanilla one, but normally whenever I do a kitchen setup, I usually have a brewing station, and the counter, or not the counters, the cabinets up top will be used as storage for all of the ingredients. I also learned right there that if you put two black quartz slabs together, then you it makes the black quartz block again. So it's a little useful for if we need the black quartz again and we run out. I can always just take 2 of the slabs, make a block, and throw it at someone or whoever needs it. And it is at this point where I kind of wish I knew what I was saying in the video so I had some sort of reference. I think I was looking for something, and I can't remember what. Oh, I was looking for diorite for the pestle. Now, I could have sworn that earlier in the game I had gotten one, but somehow it got lost. And this is a point where I am making sure that you can only use diorite. And the one thing I couldn't understand is that we have... Not only do we have that giant... Actually, why didn't I look in the giant cave system? Now that I look back and think about it, we have a giant cave system under our base, including a rift. And I didn't think to look in there for diorite. Like, if there was any there, then I probably would have already run into it. But I didn't even bother looking because I just assumed there wasn't any. But here I am headed over to where the... I don't know if it's a quarry or a miner, but the machine with the giant colossal chest on top of it to see if it had picked up any diorite. And even though it picked up a lot of marble and a lot of limestone and stuff like that, there was no diorite to be found. But I'm not gonna let that discourage me. Well, I didn't let that discourage me. And I'm sure you guys remembered I'm about to say not too long ago. It was like one of the first or second episodes of the series, which was how many weeks ago? My goodness. The time sure does fly. But I had been looking for granite for the flooring, and I had found that rift. So I wanted to head over there to see if I could find any diorite in that rift as well. And while I was traveling here, I was talking about how I have played this mod pack a little bit on a single player world just to get a better idea of what kind of mods and everything were in here. And even in the single player world, I had a very hard time finding the diorite, granite, and andesite. And I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know how they gen in the world, but I noticed that they're very sporadic. Like, back when the new blocks were first introduced, I used to find it everywhere. I'd be mining in a wall, I'd be digging out a hole, and I'd just hit group after group after group of these types of blocks. And all of a sudden, I don't know if it's a vanilla Minecraft world gen type thing, or if it's a mod that's affecting the world gen, but it's a lot harder to find this type of stone, and usually it's in very, very, very big chunks of just one type. So I'll find a very, very big chunk of something like granite, and I wouldn't be able to find andesite or diorite anywhere nearby it. So here I started getting a little lost. I remembered the rift being somewhere kind of northeast of our base, and finally I caved and turned on the waypoint for the rift that I found. And I was pretty close. I was on the right track. For some odd reason, I had thought it was in a different biome, but it was actually in this hills biome. So I didn't take too... I should have probably... Now that I look back at it, I should probably bring a boat with me when I go traveling, because a lot of the areas around us have rivers, streams, and ponds or lakes where it would be a lot faster to travel with a boat. So, looking at the rift, I'm not seeing anything but granite and some marble and limestone. I think that off-white stuff is limestone anyways. So, it wasn't helping me at all, and I decided to go off and see if I could find any other sort of rift. And for some odd reason, the water texture right there made me think that there was diorite in that little puddle, but there wasn't. And then there's also mountains nearby. And it's a lot easier to look for certain things when you're looking at the side of a mountain. So I know it was getting dark, but I decided that I was going to go to the mountain anyways, and I got really confused at what hurt me. And even watching the video, I'm still not sure what hurt me. It might have actually been fall damage. But I was also not paying attention to the things like the bees and the thorns that were around me, so it could have been a number of different things. And upon coming up to this mountain, I had found a embers... I guess it would... I don't want to call it a temple. They're more like little rooms. So, I decided to parkour up the mountain while it was getting dark to try to get to this embers room to gather the bricks to finish the floor of the second basement level. And I don't know why I was being so dumb here. I thought I was this amazing Minecraft parkour master, and I just kept jumping and jumping and missing and jumping, and I probably should have just either ported home and gave up, or started digging out some blocks. Because I apparently do not know how to jump properly in Minecraft, and I kept on trying to jump around corners, which is not easy. And I spent a good, I want to say like 10 to 15 minutes just jumping around this mountainside. And I might not have the audio to listen to right now, but I remember how I was going on and on about how I was this Minecraft parkour master and going with the hoo ha hoo every time I jumped. I was really hamming it up for you guys in the original audio. I remember that much. And looking back at this footage, I'm a little embarrassed, because I should have probably just either called it a night or gotten over my Minecraft OCD and started putting blocks down. I might even put a little counter. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I put a counter down to see how many jumps I failed. Because this is just sadly amusing at this point. Because I kept on trying to jump around this corner and failing. Parkour master failure. So finally I decided to take a different route up the side of the mountain. And I'm spending a lot of time talking about this because I spent this entire time jumping and talking in the original video. And I kind of think it's just funny to watch. So, along with my counter, I'm also going to add a little part where you can skip forward to if you don't feel like watching the entire parkour experience. So, I finally got to the top. Took me that long. And I didn't see any diorite on the side, but I didn't really look, and it was dark. And I was afraid of a golem, but there was no golem. I don't know why the Embers golem was missing. But I took the opportunity to start harvesting the blocks from the room. And then, like an idiot, I broke my pickaxe. So, I came out to get diorite, found something, broke my pickaxe, didn't have a replacement pickaxe, and completely made it redundant. And then I teleported home. And then I'm pretty sure at this point of the video I started berating myself for being an idiot and also for building more. Because instead of going to fix my pickaxe or getting a new pickaxe or doing anything that I said I was going to do, I went downstairs and I started building more. And if anyone tells you that I am obsessed with building, they would be very right. Because I think I've subjected you guys now to 5 or 6 building episodes, and we're only on episode 9. I also subjected you guys to 45-minute to hour-long videos of me building. And I wonder why I have no subscribe. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing with you guys. So what was I doing here? Let's watch together and find out. I believe I was starting to gather the roots mod. Finally, starting to gather the... Finally started gathering the supplies for the roots mod. And I started reading over the book, trying to figure out what we were supposed to do. And it was telling me that you have to make a staff. And all this other stuff. So basically, through reading, I found out that the spell work that you do, you build a staff and you build it's almost like a little port for the ingredients that you need for spells, and you put the ingredients into the port that you connect to the staff, and that's how you do your spell work. So in the herb book, it was telling me about the vanilla, some of the vanilla herbs, how you get straw from drying grass, how you get bark with a wooden knife, how you can make wooden shears to gather flowers and stuff. And then it started talking about these moonlight circles, and I got really confused reading through this passage because playing this mod pack, I've seen a lot of those moss and stone circles, and they never looked like anything ever to me. And it was saying about these glyphs on the ground, and I'm pretty sure if, seeing these circles, I would have seen the glyphs before. And I didn't remember at all any of these glyphs or anything like that. But going through the book, it said that you can use stone to make ruined stones on these glyphs. And it's at this point where I decided to go on the internet and do a little bit of digging about these moonstone circles. So I decided that I would cut the video and go out and find one of the moon circles, or moonlight circles rather, and see if I could identify what they were talking about with these glyphs. And what I read online was that the glyphs were extremely light. You could barely see them. They just looked like a discoloration of the grass. And so, as I said, I'm cutting the video, and I didn't teleport, but I went out not too far from the base and found one of the moss and stone circles. And just to make sure I knew what I was doing, I read through the book one more time, and I ported home to grab some stone. And I didn't realize when I put the cobblestone in the oven that we already had a whole stack of stone. But I figured, you know, I'd be replacing what I took with the cobblestone I put in the furnace. And I wasn't sure if this would work or not, because it said moonlight circle and that you needed moonlight, but the part in the book about the ruined stone that you can make didn't say anything about moonlight. It just said pop the stone onto the central glyph. And now I'm apparently getting confused. Oh, nope, that was me. I wanted to grab the ingredients to actually do a spell other than just do the moonstone thing, but I decided against it because there was no way for me to tell whether or not what I found was the right thing until I did this moonstone, ruined stone test. So, as you guys can see, the circle that I found is just right past our spawn area. And I've actually been in this area quite a bit, trying to hunt for those crystals for the astral sorcery. So, there's the circle. And as I said, it doesn't look like much. And I was pointing out how it wasn't too far from the base. And if you look very, very, very carefully on the ground when I get there, look on the ground. Thank you. You can see just barely these darker areas in the grass. And they're not... The other problem was that they weren't evenly spaced. So one of them was literally right next to the center stone, or the center glyph rather, while the others were 1 to 2 blocks away. Also, that sheep scared the stuffing out of me. I thought it was some sort of mob. And then the runestone worked. And I think at this point I was freaking out because I didn't expect that to work. I thought I was seeing things when I was looking at that block. I was like, there's no way this could be an actual glyph. It's way too light. And I wanted to test and see if the stone worked if you placed it next to the glyph, but it only actually works if you place it on the main glyph. So that's how I determined which block was the center block. And that really helped for when I was preparing to do a spell. Because you had to know which one was the center one and go from there with the ingredients. Now, because the glyphs were so hard to see and they weren't spaced properly, I think it's because they were on 2 different levels. Either that or it was following the shape of the circle. One of the two. But I was clearing grass to make sure I could find all the little glyph blocks. And looking at it now, you can kind of see them. They're still very, very light, and if you weren't as sensitive to color differences, then you might not even see them at all. So here I decided that I was going to cut the video and go back to the base and get ingredients for the spell. However, I'm not going to cut it because it's only like, I want to say a minute to 3 minutes for me to get the ingredients. And the big part of this that kind of annoyed me was that we had no saplings of any sort other than like rubber saplings and iron tree saplings. And I'm not sure what happened to all the birch saplings, the spruce saplings. I think we had a couple jungle saplings. The dark oak saplings that we had, the 5 of them that we had, were because I went out and collected them earlier. So I don't know what happened to all the saplings, but I guess that's kind of what happens when you are basing with other people. So, but we have plenty of flowers, specifically tulips. We have plenty of tulips, but I had to go over and gather the supplies from the trees. And instead of just chopping down the tree, all I needed was the birch sapling. So I just broke the leaves until I got them. And it dropped really quickly because of the multi-harvest, quick harvest. I don't know what that mod is called. It's similar to vein. I think it's called ore miner. It's not vein miner, but I'm pretty sure it's called ore miner. And for the oak saplings, I knew that there were several stacks of them in the tree farm. So I wasn't going to even bother harvesting one from the trees outside. And I wanted to do this spell instead of the spell with the wheat and everything, because I thought the moon flower, the moon petals, looked really pretty. And because it was the moonlight circle, I want to try it at night to see if it worked or not. And I'll probably, next episode, I'll probably do a spell during the day to see if it actually works during the day or if you need to do it under the moonlight at night. Now, originally, it said that you had to place the items on the glyphs, and I needed to get the positioning right. However, I wasn't sure, because the glyphs were not spaced out properly, I wasn't sure if I had to put the items around the flower directly or on the glyphs. And when I placed them around the flower directly, nothing happened, as you guys can see. And I'm really glad that those leaves I put down didn't instantly wither, because sometimes they do when you put them down. So my next attempt was to actually put them aligned properly on the glyphs, and the sheep was in my way. I couldn't put this block down until I moved the sheep. Should have probably just killed it. But as soon as I put this oak tree down, I have to give it to this mod. I was not expecting so many particle effects, and it was really impressive when it started happening. And I love how you can see like these faint beams of light shining down onto the ingredients. And it took, I I wasn't sure what to expect, like how long it was going to take. And the fact that it just popped up off on its own kind of surprised me too. But I was really excited to get it to work, as you guys could see by that little shake there that I did. And here's my outro. I started doing the outro without looking around me, and there were zombies coming. I'm actually surprised my game isn't picking up the zombie sounds as much. So, there's a zombie approaching me while I'm trying to do the outro. And I decided that I was going to do my outro while fighting a zombie. So, since that was my original plan, thank you all for joining me in this episode. I apologize that I had sound issues and that I had to do a voiceover, but I really am excited that I got this Roots mod to work and show actual results. And it's where we can pick up next episode. So, thank you all once again for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed this episode despite its audio issues. If you liked this video, hit that like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the like button anyways because you watched it. I don't know. Comment down below. Let me know what you saw of the video. If you didn't like it, tell me why. Just be nice, guys, please. No cursing or anything. I will delete things where you're cursing because it's supposed to be family friendly. Subscribe, hit the notification bell to see more episodes and be notified when I post new episodes. Remember, I post episodes on this channel every weekday, and the current schedule is Hideout Kingdom is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do ARAM Monday and Fridays, and on Wednesdays I do my first 20 episodes. And I don't have anything on weekends yet. I might change that in the future, but I'm currently doing Inktober on my drawing channel. So if you guys want to check that out, I link that on my Twitter page. My Twitter is used for both my drawing channel and my gaming channel, and I was really being dumb here with this zombie. So, thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. See ya.